Hey, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ruby and today we have a book tag. I love book tags so much. I love to watch book tags. I love to talk about books in general. So I don't understand why I have not done like every book tag out there because I love them. But I figured we'd start with this one, the end of the year book tag. I saw Mel from Mel Reads do this. I'll link her video down below. I really like watching her. And she did it, so I thought that I'd talk about some books too, see what we have going on for the end of the year and where I want to end up. Although, I don't know, it's tough. Like, even though there's only December left, I feel like so much can happen in a month when you read a lot. But let's get into it. We have 6 questions and I'm excited. So the first question is, are there any books you've started this year that you need to finish? I feel like this doesn't really apply to me because I read 2 to 3 books at a given time, and when I read a book, I kind of commit. Either I finish it or I DNF it, but when I DNF it, I never really DNF to read later. Like if I DNF it, it's pretty much done, which is why I try not to DNF. So yeah, I don't really struggle with that. So I'm going to change that question up a little bit to book series that I want to finish before the end of the year. Because I have 2 that I read years ago. And when I say years ago, I mean like 2015-ish, around there, years ago. And I cannot believe that I never finished them because I actually really enjoyed both of them. So let me pull them. The first one is such a beloved duology. I feel like this had blown up on TikTok forever ago. And just in general, people love it. It is Six of Crows duology, of course, by Leigh Bardugo. And listen, these books are beautiful. We have the black sprayed edges, the red sprayed edges, and this was like a long time ago. So she was already doing the sprayed edges here. But I read Six of Crows, like I said, around 2015-ish. I want to say, I don't exactly remember, but it was around that time. And I remember I was on vacation. I was visiting friends in San Antonio, and they were all so busy because they were gigging. They're mariachis, and my husband was with them because he plays trumpet. And I was like behind because I didn't play anymore. So I was behind, and I read this and it was good. I remember it was good, but I didn't love it like everybody else. So I think that's why I didn't continue to this. That being said, I did think it was good. I think the characters were what the best part of this book, and I think that still continues to be true. That's what like made this. So I know that the general consensus is that this one is better than this one. So I would like to read Crooked Kingdom and finish out the duology, especially because like I said, it's so beloved. If you don't know what Six of Crows is about, which I feel like everybody does, but maybe you're a new reader, Six of Crows follows this group of I guess thieves. They're morally gray characters. They're all morally gray, and they take on this heist. They believe that once they like pull this heist, they're gonna be set for life. All their problems are gonna be fixed, and they all have a bunch of problems. And like I said, they're all morally gray. I really like this. We have like little stories within the general story, and this takes place in the Grishaverse. So the first books are, I don't know if you can see them, they're over there. The Shadow and Bone trilogy, which I never read. I went straight to this because I didn't even know that existed back then. But I think the general consensus is that this is her best work. And so I think I'm gonna start them and finish it, and then maybe read Shadow and Bone trilogy, even though I know you should read that one first. But I watched the TV show. I think that might be enough, although I will read those books, but I don't want to have to read those first and then read these. So the point is, I want to read these, and hopefully I will get to them by December. The next one I have is a YA dystopian trilogy. Can you guess which one? I know there were so many back in the day, but I'm talking about Scythe by Neal Shusterman. I read Scythe book 1, and then I want to say I read like 3/4 of, or at least half of Thunderhead, and then I never finished and continued on to the Toll. Why, I couldn't tell you. I don't remember, because again, this was so long ago, years ago. But yes, Scythe by Neal Shusterman. This is really interesting to me, and I definitely want to continue on and finish it. Scythe, we have a utopian, but let's be real, a dystopian world where there's this like general like kind of AI, the Thunderhead, that has been perfected, and it's kind of what runs the whole world. Like, the Thunderhead takes care of everything. It takes care of, there's no more crime, there's no more illness, people don't die, like everything that you can think of has been fixed, and that's why we have this utopia of a world. However, because nobody dies, obviously overpopulation is a problem, and so to solve this, they create scythes. So scythes, they're actual people, just normal humans that are granted the power to essentially kill a certain amount of people per month, per year, whatever, to keep the overpopulation at bay, because obviously the earth is only so big, and so if they were to just let everybody live forever and still continue to have babies, it would become a problem. So the scythes, they get to choose who they want to kill. They get to have their own methods. They get to choose whatever. They literally are like death. And so in this world, they are chosen, they're trained, and then they go on and carry out their duties. But of course, because they're still human, not everybody is going to be a good scythe. Like, just like anybody in power, policemen or anything, like there's good ones, there's the bad ones, and it's the same here with the scythes. Their methods, some of them are questionable, some of them are honorable, some of them have a system, some of them just kill on a whim. So yeah, I think this is super interesting, and if you have not read these, you definitely should, because even though it's YA, I felt like it was just so good. Like, I didn't feel like I was reading a YA dystopian. And I guess it's because like the characters, it's not like they're not in school, they're not this or that, like it's like in the world, what's happening, the politics and all that. I don't know, it was really good. So I definitely recommend this, and it's definitely one that I want to finish before the end of the year. Question 2, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year with? I thought about this. I thought about what would I want to transition with, and I feel like autumn or fall is all about the cozy vibes, but I feel like then you're going into winter to actual cold weather. And for me, December is like already the epitome of winter, because I'm from South Texas, where we really don't have seasons. I think this is gonna be different for me because I'm in Maryland now, but I always think of December as like the winter month, not really like January, February, because like I said, in South Texas, it's just always hot. It just always is. And so it's just like a state of mind of when you consider winter to be happening. But I think that I chose a good one. I feel like I said, we have cozy vibes, and going into the cold weather, like I imagine sitting by a fire, bundled up, reading like a good cozy book. And so I chose Legends and Lattes by Travis Baldree. I don't know a whole lot about this book. I know that everybody has said it's like just about the vibes, the cozy vibes, and I tend to need a plot, but I'm gonna try this because I feel like a lot of people have really enjoyed this, and I think that I am open-minded enough to be able to enjoy it. So yeah, we follow our main character, Viv. Viv is an orc, I believe. Yeah, she's an orc who has been battling, you know, living her orc life, battling, but now she's just deciding to just kind of chill. And she opens up a coffee shop. And I think this is like something where Nobody's really seen a coffee shop. It's completely new, but yeah, I think this is going to be really sweet. More about like friendships and stuff like that. And book 2 has just come out, or will be coming out actually. When does it come out? Bookshops and Bone Dust is out November 7th, so it's already come out. And I actually think that I might like that one even more because it's a bookshop. Hello. But I'm gonna start with this one and see how it goes. It's not too long. It's not even 300 pages long, so what do I have to lose? But yeah, I feel like this cozy vibes will carry on well into December, and I hope it's something that I like because I do want to pick up the second book eventually. Question number 3: is there a new release that you're still waiting on? There was a couple of books that I was interested in till the end of the year. The first one was that one, Bookshops and Bone Dust, which came out on November 7th, so that one's already out. But then I was also interested in A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch, which that one comes out on my birthday on November 28th, and I really want to read that. I might ask for it for my birthday because I am trying really hard to be on a book buying ban for the rest of the year. Since money's a little tight, I feel like I should hold off, but I really want to read that book. So that one comes out on my birthday, and I just think it's going to be so good because in that we're following the mentor of our male main character from the original book, who is still an evil demon. So I know that there's like the premise is that he loses his memory and gets like kicked back into Glimmer Falls, I believe is the town. So he gets kicked out of the demon dimension and goes to Glimmer Falls, and he's lost his memory. So I guess that's how they're getting around the fact that he was still evil before. And his love interest is the best friend to our female main character from the first book, which is Guide to Fake Dating a Demon. And she is Spitfire. She's sassy. She is crazy. And she has already like literally beat up Astaroth, this demon. So I just think it's going to be really interesting, the love story. I feel like it's got really good potential for enemies to lovers. So I really want to read that one. And then, of course, there is Ruthless Vows, which is book 2 in the Divine Rivals duology that comes out on December 26th. I pre-ordered the UK hardcover from Blackwell's because I have the UK edition of Divine Rivals. So I think they said it's not going to ship till January, but I'm okay with it because if you watch my videos, you know that I was not in love with Divine Rivals. However, I do want to read book 2 because at the end of Divine Rivals, we kind of see that there's the potential for it to become more of a fantasy book instead of just a romance, historical fiction type story. So I'm going to read it. I'm just not like super thrilled and over the moon about it or excited about it, but I will read it. And then one that I was not even looking forward to, it was not even on my radar, it totally caught me by surprise in the best way possible, is Dark Air by C.S. Pacat. And listen, I had never even heard of this author, which now that I like been looking her up, she actually wrote that graphic novel, is it Fence or Fenced? Which was super popular when it came out, and I had heard about it and actually had been interested in it. But she is the author of that, and then she wrote Dark Rise and now Dark Air. I think this is going to be a trilogy, so we have one more book to go, which I'll have to wait for. But I read Dark Rise this month. I already read it. And if you did not watch my TBR, I read that book only because I had bought a copy for my brother too, and he had read it, and everything that he reads I tend to read so that we can discuss it and kind of buddy read. So I was like, I have to push through with this book because he read it, and you know, I need to read it. And I would say for like the first 60% of the book, I wasn't bored, but I wasn't super into it. Like, stuff did happen, but it was like very slow pace. And I was like, but I pushed through for my brother. And oh my goodness, I ended up loving that book. I gave it 4.25 stars, and I am so excited to read the second book. But again, I'm on a book buying ban. So these new releases, like A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch and Dark Air, I really want to get, but I'm telling myself that I should not. But yeah, this one, if you are interested, Dark Air comes out November 14th, which isn't today, November 14th? I think so. So it's already out. And by the time you see this video, it will be out. But yeah, it was, the ending of the first book was so good. And I am just so invested at this point, and I want to know what's going to happen. I feel like book 2 has the potential to be a lot faster paced than book 1. But also there's a whole other book that we still are going to get. So I am a little nervous, but yeah, I definitely am looking forward to that one for sure. Moving on to question number 4. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? I was looking at my shelves because I wanted to choose stuff that I already had. And there are 3 that I would like to finish before the end of the year, or get to and read. And let me get them for you. So the first one we've already talked about, it's Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This recently got published, traditionally published, and it's everywhere now. I believe it's on Amazon, it's at Barnes, it's everywhere now. I got mine from Blackwell, so this is a UK paperback, so it's not the one that was traditionally published, but it's okay. And yeah, this is a romantasy book that a lot of people seem to really have loved, and it sounds very interesting. I think that I will like it. The premise sounds like something that I would like. We follow our main character, Ilya, and in this world there are 2 types of people. There are the elites and there are the ordinary. The elites are the people that have powers, and the ordinary do not have powers. The thing is, here in this kingdom, the kingdom is Ilya. So what's the girl's name? Payton. My bad. So in this kingdom of Ilya, if you are an elite and you have powers, you're allowed to live here. But if you don't, then you're like cast out. And our main character, Payton, she is pretending to be an elite. She's pretending she has powers so that she can stay living in the kingdom and she won't be cast out. However, when you are an elite, you are kind of thrust into these trials where you literally, it's like very like Hunger Game type trials, I believe, like to the death. So how is somebody that does not have powers going to get through this when everybody else does? I don't know, but I think it's going to be good. And I believe book 2 will be out next year, and I'm excited. I feel like this is going to be a good read. It is a chunky book, so that kind of makes me a little bit nervous, but oh look, book 2 coming May 2024. So you don't have to wait too long, but you would have to wait a little bit. This is 502 pages, so it's a long one, but hopefully I get to it in December. The other one that I believe I featured in a haul is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I have been seeing that people have been loving this book more than her other book, The Dead Romantics, which I never read. I wanted to, but I never got a hold of it. And they always have it on Book Outlet. I just never purchased it for whatever reason, and this one I did. However, I think it's like very agreed upon that people are liking this one more than The Dead Romantics. So I really want to read it, and I feel like I've been very into these types of books where they're like romance books. They do have some smut, but it's nothing like super crazy where like every chapter is like a smut scene. And they're like quick reads, you know, they're relatively short. I need more books like this. If you have favorite books like this, let me know, because this is what I need right now. I've been dealing with a lot of anxiety, which is something that I've never dealt with before, and recently it's just really been overwhelming me. So I feel like these types of books definitely help. So yeah, the 7 year slip is about our main character Clementine, and she loses her aunt, and the aunt ends up leaving her apartment. She goes to the apartment, and there's just this random man standing in the middle of the apartment, and she's like, who are you? It turns out that there's like a 7 year gap between her and him, so he is 7 years in the past to her 7 years in the present. There's a romance that ensues, and I'm assuming that we find out what ends up happening if they ever merge, come together. I've mentioned it before, but very Lake House by, or not by, I'm so in book form. The Lake House that had Sandra Bullock and Keanu Reeves. I feel like it's giving me those vibes, and I really want to read this really, really badly. I will definitely read this in December for sure. And then another one that I will for sure read is actually a new release. I believe this one also came out on November 7th. And I obviously did allow myself to purchase this one. This is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood, which is her debut young adult novel, because her other novels, if you're not familiar with Ali Hazelwood, are adult romances that all feature, the romance is like all intertwined with people in STEM, so science, technology, engineering, mathematics, which I feel like I would really love. And I actually have all her books, the other three, the Love Hypothesis ones, the Love Hypothesis, Love Theoretically, and the other one. So I heard that people are really liking this, and I was intrigued. I've always really loved chess, even though I don't know how to play chess. And I don't know why I've loved chess so much, but I feel like in a lot of media that I like, chess is kind of featured. So I really want to watch that show. What's it called? The Queen's Gambit, because I feel like I'd really like it. Never watched it. Anyway, Check and Mate. I don't know much about it. I didn't read it, but I think it's kind of obvious it's going to revolve around chess. I think we have, just based on what I heard, the main character Mallory, she, I think, stopped playing chess and then recently starts again. Or she, like, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I think she like ends up playing against this guy after not playing forever, and then she ends up beating him, and then he's like, he's been charmed. And so yeah, it's such a short book. I feel like, again, this is exactly what I need right now, because like I said, I've just been going through it a lot, and I think books like these are going to make me happy, are going to help me relax, and just not think about, you know, all those negative thoughts. So yeah, really looking forward to this one. The fifth question is there any book that you think could shock you and become your favorite book of the year? This was a little hard for me because I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of books that have the potential to become my favorite book of the year. If you follow my Goodreads, I think I only have like 30 books there because it's what I've read from September on. But I did read other books throughout the year that I just didn't rate, because honestly, I just wouldn't even remember at this point what they were. Like, I read all the Heartstopper books. I read, I read other books. I don't remember what I read, but I do have it written down. So all in all, I've read quite a bit of books this year already, only because now I read so much more. But I feel like I do have an idea of what might become my favorite book of the year. And even right now, I don't know what that is. I guess I would automatically default to what my 5-star reads are this year, which I don't think I have many. I think I only have 3 so far. One being Happy Place by Emily Henry, Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros, and then the other one is The Beautiful Ones by Silvia Moreno Garcia, which that is kind of like an honorary 5-star. Like, I know that's not going to be my favorite book of the year, because I literally just gave that 5 stars because I felt like it was very like a me thing. It was something that I enjoyed because of my life experience, but not necessarily like the best book that I read. So yeah, I guess right now it's between Fourth Wing and Happy Place, but I would have to revisit all those other books that I read before I was giving ratings. But yeah, I do think that if anything is going to become my favorite book of the year, it's probably going to be some sort of romantasy book, because I feel like that's kind of what's big right now, or that's what's like on my radar. And one of the ones that I think might become a favorite or has the potential is Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. I only have book one. I definitely would like book two, but again, I'm just trying to hold off. So I don't know how I'm going to read Two Twisted Crowns. I'm pretty sure I can find it on Libby, hopefully. But I haven't started this. It's the next book that I'm starting. And I feel like Two Twisted Crowns has a potential to be a favorite, because I feel like everybody has liked that one more than this one, and everybody has raved about Two Twisted Crowns. So I think this one, well, not this one, book two is a potential. Another one that I think has that potential to become like my favorite book of the year is Powerless, which we already talked about, by Lauren Roberts, only because it's kind of like the same vibe, the romantasy vibe. So I think this one also has that potential along the same lines of the romantasy vibe. The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, I think, has a potential. I think this one has a really good potential. This one and Two Twisted Crowns, I think, if anything, it's going to be one of these, because they're closing out the duologies. Or in this case, it's like a duology with a novella. But because they're closing out a story, I feel like we're going to get everything. We're going to get climaxes. We're going to get resolutions. Like, we're going to get closure, hopefully, because you don't always get that. But from what I hear, these are good books closing out their respective duologies. So I think those two are the ones that have the potential to overtake my favorite reads. And honestly, if I'm being honest, I don't know which one I liked more, if I liked Fourth Wing more or Happy Place more, because I really liked Happy Place. But I listened to it on audiobook, so I need to read it physically, because listen, I really like that book. I don't know why, but yeah, those are the two that I think have the potential. And then the last and final question is, have you already started making reading plans for next year? I think for next year, I have three kind of general goals. The first one is I want to be consistent with my Goodreads. So like rating books, keeping track of the books that I read, so that it's just easier for me. Like right now, I'm struggling because, like I said, throughout the year, I didn't keep track of the books that I read. Thankfully, I like went through and figured it out, but ratings, no idea. And I feel like ratings are important for me now because it gauges my enjoyment, and jotting down little thoughts on Goodreads is good for me to like remember. So along with that, I want to keep like some sort of reading journal or log. I had bought one, but I ended up not loving it. I feel like I need more like a bullet journal where I can just do it myself and I'll have like a preset thing, or I don't know. If you know of a good reading journal, let me know, because I do need some sort of system. But I think a bullet journal for me would be the best way to go. So I want to do that. I want to continue reading slow. In general, I'm a slow reader. I'm not a fast reader at all. I really do take my time with books, and it's not even because I'm trying to be a slow reader. I just feel like in general, I am a slower reader. But I think that works for me, because if I went any faster, which I could read faster. I just feel like I wouldn't retain anything. And I already have such a problem with forgetting everything that I read like almost immediately because of my brain. So I just feel like I need to continue to just take it easy. I know that it's not a race. I know that I don't have to read, 12 plus books a month. So I think I'm going to continue to just take my time and really enjoy books, especially if I end up getting a job next year or anything like that. There's not going to be as much time for reading. So I'm okay with that, with not setting reading goals like, oh, I need to read 100 books this year. I actually thought about that, if I'm going to be doing goals like that, like for Goodreads and stuff, but I don't know. And if I do, I feel like I'm not going to have a super high number because I just don't want to set myself up for failure. things happen. So the third thing is I want to use Libby and Hoopla a lot more. The way that I want to use these are, if you don't know what they are, Libby is an app that you can, well, both of them, Libby and Hoopla, are apps that you can use just by having a library card. So there are different libraries that work with them. Like when I was living down in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, my local libraries only worked with Libby and there was nobody working with Hoopla. So I just didn't have access to Hoopla. But here in Maryland, I do have access to all the apps now. So Libby and Hoopla are the ones that I use the most, the only ones that I use really. And it's free. So as long as you have a library card, you can check out books digitally and it sends it right to your Kindle if you have a Kindle. If you don't, you can just read right off of your phone. I just like to send them to my Kindle. But I also like to use Libby mostly for ebooks and Hoopla mostly for audiobooks, but it's interchangeable. It offers both. And I really like it. And another reason that I want to use these apps a lot more is to read books, decide if I like them, and then buy them. Because I don't do that right now. Right now, I see a book, I hear about a book, and I immediately want it and I buy it. And I don't even know if I'm gonna like it, and then I have to like unhaul it and sell it, because if I had a home, like a home where I'm like, okay, this is where I'm gonna be, I'm not gonna be moving around, then I would not mind too much buying books and potentially not liking them and then still keeping them. But because I'm gonna be moving potentially 2 more times within the next 3 years, I can't be doing that because I have to pack up all these books and move across the country both times. So yeah, I just really need to make sure that if I do allow myself to purchase books, it's going to be books that I really want to keep for the long run instead of just buying them for the sake of buying them. And I feel like if I was like a full-time content creator, that would be acceptable because people buy books, review them, you know, they have them on hand, pre-order them, read ARCs, stuff like that. But I'm not a full-time content creator, which would be amazing, but I'm not. So yeah, I just feel like I'm not at that point where I can do that, and so I shouldn't. So yeah, hopefully using Libby and Hoopla will help me, but we'll see, because I am very impulsive and I'm very much the type of person that if I want something, I get it and I don't think about it. So hopefully I reel that in. So yeah, that is it. That is the 6 questions in the end of the year book tag. Definitely, if you have a chance, if you want to participate, leave your answers down below. Literally just put like 1, 2, 3, 4 and tell me your answers, because that'll also give me ideas of what you all are reading, what you're liking, and maybe I haven't read it and we can read it and talk about it. And yeah, as always, if you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you very soon with another one. Bye.